there. Let's start the session by chanting Anandamaya 3 times. Let us begin. I am going to read a few lines from Savitri, where all asks order but is driven by chance. Strangers to earth nature, they must learn earth's ways. Aliens or opposites, they must unite. They work and battle and with pain agree. These join, those part, all parts and joins anew. But never can we know and truly live till all have found their divine harmony. But now the light supreme is far away. Our conscious life obeys the inconscious laws. To ignorant purposes and blind desires, our hearts are moved by an ambiguous force. Even our mind's conquests wear a battered crown. A slowly changing order binds our will. This is our doom until our souls are free. So good evening everybody. So today's topic is discipline. So in today's talk we will be discussing about what is discipline, what Mother and Sri Aurobindo explained the meaning of discipline, what are the different types, outer discipline, inner discipline, yogic discipline, and we'll also understand why discipline is important, first of all in yoga, in sadhana, and even in our day-to-day life, and how discipline can be developed in our physical part, mental, vital and psychic parts of our being, how discipline can be developed. And yogic discipline specifically, we will touch upon that, and we'll understand how to cultivate yogic discipline in our lives so that we can all advance in our sadhana. And towards the end, we will also discuss what are some of the difficulties and what are some of the errors that usually or setbacks that we face while we are in this path and we are trying to aspire and trying to get a discipline in our life. So we will be covering these aspects in this talk. So first, to understand discipline, so Mother has explained very beautifully a very profound and comprehensive meaning, where she says it is one of the ways in which we are acting according to any rule. Okay, basic discipline, any rule we are trying to follow that is one aspect of the discipline, or to a standard of truth. So there is a truth that is established and we are all aligning to that truth, what are we doing? We are disciplining ourselves, or we are following somebody in a superior authority. So trying to follow the instructions of a person in authority is also discipline. Or is also another type of discipline where there are some higher principles that are established by people who were able to visualize, and by the reason and pure intellect they have brought down some principles for all of us, spiritual principles, guidelines. So adhering to those, trying to follow and implement in our own lives. For example, how Sri Aurobindo has given us so many books, letters on yoga, life divine. All of these are definitely the books that will help us in our spiritual journey. Now, following that, these books, what is given in that book and what Sri Aurobindo is trying to tell us by aligning our consciousness to his consciousness, to Mother's consciousness, that aspect of ourselves just being in their path is discipline. So now there are times in our lives where we are drawn by various impulses, what we want. We want to go out and do something. We are having meditation time, but relatives come in. So are we sticking to our discipline at that point in time? So there is a discipline that we've decided we are going to do meditation every day in the evening. But what is happening? There are so many forces, disturbances, or our own impulses, vital impulses, desires, like you feel like, okay, going and doing something else, which is deviating from our path. So you give in to that, which means that you're not following your discipline. It is that way. So to live and act under control, that is under control, or aligning ourselves to what is right, a standard that has been established, and not to succumb to our emotions or the past habits that we have always been used to, or the thoughts that we have, not giving into the thoughts or the desires, the impulses, but aligning ourselves to a truth, to what is right. That is the actual discipline that we're talking about. So specifically, yogic discipline is anything that we are trying to do in our lives to realize the divine that is immanent within us. So even reading something or meditating, praying, all of these are a part of the yogic discipline. In what way we are able to gain control over our thoughts, in what way we are able to improve our aspiration towards the divine, our gratitude towards the divine, humility. So all of these, developing these attributes which will help us grow closer to the divine, nearer to the divine, are some of the practices of yogic discipline, or it's also referred to as spiritual discipline, a way of seeking, touching, nearing the divine truth, a way which is proper to the potentialities of his nature. So what they are saying is what we can become. So trying to become that, trying to perfect ourselves as much as possible, that is discipline. Now in yoga, discipline is also following what our guru has given us. So obediently obliging to the rules and regulations or the path that is set by a guru is also considered as a spiritual discipline. So there is also inner discipline and outer discipline. Outer discipline is what we are all very familiar with from childhood, all our parents, our teachers, all of them are trying to imbibe discipline in us. So what are they telling us? You have to wake up early, brush your teeth, take a bath, go to school. So all of these are tasks that are helping us to become more healthy physically and psychologically and have a routine. And even it can be a discipline that you're setting for yourself, that you will exercise every day, or you will go for a walk. It can be anything that you want to read a book every day. So that way, these are the things that externally that we are following without consistently, without giving it a break or something, which we have been doing. That is the outer discipline. And with respect to outer discipline, what mother says is there are a few limitations. Of course, when you are trying to read a book, what happens? So if there can be something, somebody else will come and tell you a work, or if you are trying to sit for meditation, maybe something, some other phone call you will get. So there are these disturbances that are possible to hinder, or even when you're going for exercise, something, even the gym is not working or there's no electricity, you don't want to do your exercise. So for outer discipline, there are certain setbacks, limitations that are inherent, that are you cannot escape. Most of us we will face those difficulties. Whereas the inner discipline is something that we can actually indulge at all times in our lives. Now, what is this inner discipline? Inner discipline involves controlling our thoughts, trying to regulate the kind of, if we are we helping ourselves to discern, am I getting a negative thought? Is this helping me in my sadhana? Can I reject this negative thought and take in whatever is positive? Can I concentrate, go deep within? So inner discipline is all about how sincerely a person is able to stay inward and consecrate his life towards the divine. So in inner discipline, it's also you don't take up or involve yourself in anything that is taking you away from your inner discipline, away from divine, or away from your purpose of life. For example, if going out to functions or going out to do participate in something that is not relevant, that is not helping you grow or go closer to divine in any way, going out for clubs or restaurants, if that is not helping, somebody who is seriously practicing this inner discipline is directly able to say no, and directly able to focus on something that is helping him grow. Mother also always used to say, in prayers and meditations, for her the only purpose in life was to realize the divine. She felt that nothing else was important. Whatever other tasks are least important, and she would not consider them as I have to do something of that. She would outrightly reject, and always, as much as possible, every moment she would aspire to be close to the divine. So that is the inner discipline that we are talking about. So not interested in any useless external ordinary activities, but trying to stay very focused and intense inner life. So this inner discipline is limitless. There's a lot of liberty. There are no moral rules. There are no social rules. There are no intellectual rules. Nothing at all. Only the light. The guiding light is all that you are following, all that you are able to turn towards. So the only thing is that. Another aspect when we are discussing about inner discipline is pretense. Sometimes there are some people who pretend like they are in the spiritual path and they are doing things for the divine. However, they must be doing it for their own ego, or they must be doing it to show to others that they are more of spiritual people, they are good people. Some people who are more of into religious practices, they just indulge in that just as a thing of reputation for themselves. But pretense is definitely something that is not going to help when somebody is a serious seeker. And Mother clearly says this pretense is like the worst thing that can happen in sadhana. When you're lying to yourself, you're not being sincere, right? You're almost like digging a hole and trying to go deep within, thinking you're growing in the spiritual journey. So that is another important aspect, and without outer or inner discipline, there is, even in our spiritual life or in our material life, there is no growth if we are not able to abide to outer and inner discipline. So both of these are extremely important for us to live a healthy, meaningful life. And all those people who were able to create something, achieve something in their life, be successful, had both of these. Right? If we even think of in our outer lives, if we have to see Roger Federer, tennis player, Sachin Tendulkar, when you read about them, their lives and what they did in their lives, they really adhered to a very, very strict discipline. It's completely outer discipline was there. Also, they were very growing a lot within also. So, for example, Roger Federer apparently had some anger issues, but he was constantly working on that as he was growing as a player also, because on the court, if he is upset with the opponent, he cannot shout at the opponent, and that is something which is not accepted in a healthy sport. So he was constantly working in managing that emotion, which is nothing but it is an inner discipline to grow towards the divine and towards more of refining himself, right? And outer discipline wise also, he did have so much control on what he was eating, how much he was practicing. So all of this. And Sachin Tendulkar clearly refrained himself from alcohol throughout his life because he was so much focused in his sport, and that he was very clear that is not going to help him, and he rejected it. Right? So there are people who have achieved something, definitely had a lot of inner and outer discipline. Now we'll slowly move to discipline, how discipline can be established in the physical, vital and mental and psychic parts of our being, which Sri Aurobindo has talked about. So the physical discipline, our body, by naturally, it has a discipline, like how it's supposed to digest the food, blood circulation, and what way it is able to, respiration. All of these systems that we have in our body has a discipline. That's the reason why we are able to stay fit and we are able to conduct our day-to-day activities. So this is something that is happening automatically. However, if the body is losing this discipline is when we fall sick. When the digestion is not happening in time, that is when we experience stomach upset or any other stomach issues. Right? So everything, our movements, gestures, our thoughts, all of these have a discipline in our body. Because of the neural firing, we are able to think, we are able to produce a thought. Because of the connections, I am able to produce my speech. If anything goes wrong, even the slightest of the connections or the blood circulations, then if the discipline is lost, then I will not be able to function as I am today. Right? So that is the discipline that the body has. With respect to physical education, that is how well can we develop our body, that also requires strict discipline to maintain this health. Right? For the body to continue this discipline, we also consciously need to work on maintaining our health and our body. So that is, having a strict, sleeping time or eating in time, eating healthy food, exercising. All of these outer disciplines can really help us or help in maintaining our physical aspect of the body. And physical, when we indulge in exercises, Mother says that we should not indulge, for fun or for just to feel good about ourselves or to attract somebody else. But our motive should be to exercise to strengthen our body, to nourish our body. It is almost like, we eat food every day without nobody telling us, because our body needs it. Similarly, exercise is also something that is required for the body to be flexible, to be more healthy, and to be able to do what it is doing. So with that attitude, we have to start exercising to maintain our body. So this is more of discipline in the physical aspect. With respect to the yogic discipline, we will discuss a little more in the upcoming part of the talk. Now we'll move to the vital discipline. So what does the vital discipline entail? Is basically we are having a lot of thoughts, lot of emotions, and we experience confusions. Part of these emotions, we experience sadness, anger. So how well are we able to regulate these emotions and transform? So that is, all of these negative emotions are a part of our lower vital nature. So how well are we able to transform these lower vital nature to a higher vital, where there is calmness, peace, and where there is aspiration? All of these are the qualities of the higher vital. So this process of transformation requires a lot of vital discipline, right? So when we are angry, when we are having a desire, are we first becoming aware of it? First, okay, this is not helpful for me. And are we able to tell the divine, call the divine, offer, Mother, I am feeling very restless, I am feeling very angry, I am offering this to you. Please help me do what is right, what is appropriate in this situation. So are we able to, discipline this vital and not give in to our emotions and, shout at somebody or, do all that kind of a drama. So this disciplining the vital is a very, very long and exacting process, Mother says. It takes a lot of years, lot of sadhana. People who, evolved in as the yogis also, they did have problem with their anger. We have heard of so many rishis just cursing because they, that is definitely because they did not discipline their vital. So this process does require a lot of effort, and this transformation is possible. People may think that it's not possible, but Mother says it is possible. And the external vital is something that also needs to be purified. So, and for this external vital to be purified, outer discipline can help us to a certain extent. Now, what is this external vital? So, there is internal vital and external vital, similar to higher vital and lower vital. So, external vital is characterized by restlessness and always giving into the impulses and distracted and very lazy. All of this is a part of the external vital. So this part, first we need to calm the external vital to be able to go deeper in any kind of spiritual activities or our sadhana. So to calm, to probably this outer discipline of doing certain things. For example, we do some breathing. Whenever we want to get into meditation, we are feeling very agitated, very restless. So first, that part is the external vital that is happening. So first we engage in calming the physical, and by default the external vital is also getting calm. So we do some pranayama, we do some deep breathing, so that we are first handling the external vital. And also in a lot of pujas, there are small rituals, lighting the lamp, lighting the agarbatti. All of these are being done to cleanse the environment as well as also calm ourselves and prepare ourselves for a deeper kind of a concentration that is required to do the puja. So that's the reason why this outer discipline is required to manage or regulate the external vital. And when also the pure reason, so it is also important to deal with the vital. You also, the mind, the pure intellect that we are talking about, the higher intellect, can be used to deal with this vital. So that is what I'm trying to say is, when we are feeling very distressed or angry, like I said before, the moment we are able to become aware, what is helping us to become aware is our intellect, right? So using that intellect to gain control, a powerful control over all our vital desires, impulses, is important. That is the beginning of creating a vital discipline, right? But again, while doing this, there are chances that we may feel, okay, you're doing it for your own ego. So again, that selfishness should not be there when you are trying to control and regulate, but you're doing it for the divine. You're doing it to as an offering of yourself, as an offering to transform yourself to be one with the divine. So that attitude is also extremely important. So the next part is the mental discipline. Now mental discipline is something that we usually are familiar with. It is concerning our thoughts. So we usually, when we sit for meditation, what happens? We start to think about what has happened yesterday, what should I do tomorrow. So many thoughts are coming to us. So the mental discipline is in what way we are able to regulate these thoughts, and in what way we are able to be more quiet, calm, so that we are able to invoke her force in a much better way. So there are different steps which Sri Aurobindo gives us. First, to observe. First moment is to first observe these thoughts that are coming to us from outside. We are able to, first, okay, I'm getting this thought. So just pay attention to your thoughts first, becoming aware of these thoughts. The second step is step back. So instead of continuing to think, okay, what did I cook for dinner? Okay, is this okay? Is this, should I get something? So what happens is we are constantly, one thought leads to another, and it goes on. So we instead of involving in this thought, we have to first learn to observe, okay, I am getting this thought and I am not continuing to think like this. I am just refraining to participate in the thought. So you are observing, you are taking a step back, and now slowly, as you are observing what you are doing, you are detaching yourself from the thought. You are watching over as if the thoughts are coming to you, and you're just there, just as a witness. You're just observing that thought. So slowly, that separateness between you and the thought is created. And then as you are doing this, you also should concentrate on discriminating between a good thought and a bad thought. Something that is helping you, that you can absorb, it is increasing your aspiration. Something that is unhelpful, that is negative, or that is not even required for you. So that judgment, as you are looking at it, you are able to distinguish between this good, harmful, positive, all of these kind of thoughts. Then this is called the power of discernment. Then you move to thought control. So as now you understood, okay, what is it that I can accept, what is it that I can reject, right? So as you are doing this, you are able to reject anything that is not helpful for you and take in as your, something that is helping you. So that is the process where you, as you practice this in our day-to-day, in your day-to-day meditations, you are able to slowly acquire the mental discipline that is required. So as the mind is more educated, So this, for you to do this process, you need to also understand how to observe, how to be the witness consciousness. The more you are able to read, the more you are educating your mind, the more you are training your mind. You're giving more information, how this can be helpful, how it's done. So the more you do that, the more the mind is capable of achieving this process. The more it becomes, you'll form a stronger regulation, you'll have a stronger need to cultivate this mental discipline. So the Bhagavad Gita constantly talks about this mental discipline. In Bhagavad Gita, that Sakshi Purusha is nothing but being the witness consciousness. Just step back from the action, step back from your desires, just observe, having an impartial, indifferent attitude towards what is happening in life. Just being there, not accepting, not going with this ups and downs that is happening in our lives. We are happy, trying to go, become very elated, and if we are sad, trying to go down. These ups and downs, trying to just be that witness, not participating in these emotional cycles. So that is the impersonal witness. That is what we are trying to say in the mental discipline, right? And just offering yourself to the Lord, the Master, Ishvara. So that is what we are doing in the mental discipline. Then Raja Yoga also talks about this mental discipline. Before mental discipline as a part, they also discuss about the moral purification. So moral purification is basically, when we follow these yamas and niyamas. So there are 5 yamas and 5 niyamas according to Raja Yoga, which will help us, develop our morality and self-control. What are these 5 yamas? Ahimsa, Satya, speaking the truth, Asteya, not stealing something, and Brahmacharya, celibacy, and Aparigraha, not being very greedy and saving everything for oneself. So these 5 are yamas. So these 5 are completely important to deal with our desires, passions, to get rid of that. These 5 things are important, and to also these will help us to not become very egoistic. So that is also the purpose of these yamas. Then niyama is, as we are moving to niyamas, it's more of mental discipline that we are moving to. Discipline of the mind by doing certain practices. Now what are these practices again? Cleanliness, saucha, santosha, that is contentment, developing this attitude of being happy, gratitude, tapas, so having this discipline of austerity, doing something with focus, attention, swadhyaya, reading something that is helpful, spiritual in nature, Ishvara pranidhana, surrender, contemplation of the divine. All of these is slowly transforming into the mental discipline. So these in Raja Yoga also, this mental discipline is something that is extremely important. Then the Buddhist discipline, Buddhist yoga also, Buddhism, they talk about how you have to abstain yourself from desires. You have to develop this detachment as one of the most important qualities. And as you sit for meditation also, not being attached to your thoughts. You have to stay away from, just as an observer, you have to observe your thoughts. As thoughts are entering into your mind, just observing and then not having that compassion, just being there as a witness and letting them pass, not being one with them. So that is what Buddhism also talks about, mental discipline. Now we are moving to the psychic discipline. So we have covered physical discipline, we have covered the vital discipline, mental discipline, and now we are moving to the psychic discipline. So the psychic discipline is, so like you all know, there is a psychic being which is the center, which is there in the center of our heart, and which is always which the presence of the Lord is there in the psychic. It is helping us into discern what is truth, what is not. It is the inner guide that is there with us all throughout. Everybody has this psychic being, but we need to realize that there is an inner guide and we need to start listening to this psychic. So the more we are trying to turn towards this psychic, the more we are being governed by the psychic is the psychic discipline. So to what extent are we rejecting something that is not in alignment to our psychic, and what is it that is bringing us closer to our psychic being, to the divine? How much are we being conscious of this presence in us? How much are we able to concentrate? Not only being conscious, the next deeper step is concentrating on this presence, going deeper and making it like a living fact, almost helping it, allowing it to guide our lives day and night. Whatever we are doing, are we aligning our lives to the psychic? So this process is the psychic discipline. So this psychic being also, as we are indulging or practicing the psychic discipline, there are different individualities that we have within us, different personalities that we have, because of our past lives, because of our childhood experiences. There are so many contradictions, there are so many confusions. Sometimes we want to do this, we want to do that also, we don't know what to do. So all of this is because we have different personalities. So as we are aligning ourselves to the psychic, it all becomes one. There is a harmony that is established. There is a oneness that is created. So somebody who is in alignment with their psychic being is not confused. He always knows what to do. He always knows what is right, what is truth, and he is constantly in that experiencing that joy, that ananda, that he's always with the light. He's being guided with the light that is there with him. So that is the psychic discipline, the effect of psychic discipline as we start practicing. So for the psychic discipline, it is not that it comes immediately, automatically, but for us to develop this psychic discipline, first we have to again start from physical. How much are we transforming our physical self? How much are we working on the vital self, and how much are we transforming the mind? Are we opening our mind to the higher force? So at all these levels, at all our parts of our being, once all of these turn towards, then psychic consciousness is also you will give way to the psychic to also develop in ourselves. So in that way it becomes a very integral aspect, integral transformation. So now we'll move to understand why is discipline needed first of all. So what role does discipline play in our life? First, to live a better life. Without, like we discussed, without discipline, we can't lead a life that is healthy and meaningful. And without discipline, you cannot get anywhere in your life. For you to achieve a goal, something that you set for yourself, you need to have a discipline. So that is there. So discipline, instead of following something somebody is telling, the more you are able to follow what is right, truth that you experience from within, and for the joy of perfection, for the joy of transformation, if you are able to follow discipline like that, that is something that is going to be lasting, instead of following what somebody else is telling. The more the attitude that you have towards yourself, towards transformation, that is important as well. And then to establish truth within. So discipline is also important to go deeper, because without discipline, mother simply says we are all animals. If we don't have discipline, we are nothing but an animal. So one begins to be a man only when one aspires to a higher and truer life, accepts the discipline of transformation. For this, one must begin by mastering one's lower nature and one's desires. So that is what we have discussed. So then, the next aspect, another important aspect is, it can be said that all discipline is important to prepare ourselves to make this earthly life, to make this progress, it can help us to evolve better as individuals. The more we are able to indulge ourselves in physical discipline, vital, mental, the more we are preparing for a higher life, for a new life. As we all know, Sri Aurobindo has talked about how supramental being is going to be there, like as a part of the evolution of man. So for that to happen, we need that discipline to first change that level of consciousness. So that is also something that is important as a part of inculcating a discipline. Now helps in understanding the parts of our being. So a lot of times we may experience, when we are trying to be aware in a situation, is it that you are angry or is it that you are getting negative thoughts? So a lot of times our mental, vital, everything is mixed up. We don't know, we are not able to be clear what is it that is actually creating a problem for us. So one is able to understand clearly which part of the being is having a problem, which part of the being needs transformation. The minutest, the finest aspects as we are doing the sadhana, it requires a lot of lasting training and a long discipline of observation and studying which aspect is something that is creating disturbance. So for that, we need to work very, very ardently and with a lot of perseverance. And these aspects that are there, different parts of our being, again, for them, all of them to be aligned, and for that to happen, we need that will and a personal discipline. So discipline is also important to overcome our fears, anxiety and anger. So we look at how we can deal with these things. First, our desires. So a lot of times we don't know what to do, whether we really want something, we really don't want, but always we are distracted with so many things that are happening around, because there's a lot from outside. Desires come from outside. As we are open, we are able to, okay, somebody is thinking about ice cream. Suddenly the thought is coming to our mind and we start thinking, oh, do I want ice cream? So usually these desires come from outside, and a lot of times we think we want something, but actually we don't need it. So it's a lot of illusion that is there. So once we are able to first, become aware of how this desire is coming from outside, and it's something, as you become more sincere, you are able to discover, you are able to understand this is not required. You are able to reject. Very, very straightforward process of understanding the desires externally, it's coming from this world, and these emotions, sentiments, ideas, all of this is something that is not required and something that we can't see, but it's entering ourselves, and how we can reject. So then fears. Fear is also something that comes from outside. So what mother says, when we start thinking and analyze our thoughts, lot of times, in these 10-15 minutes, when you think, 9 out of 10 or most of your thoughts are your fears. Like, will this happen? Will that happen? lot of times most people have at least 9 to 10 thoughts in about 10-15 minutes. So fear, that is the influence that fear can have on us in our lives. So again, and also fear is something that has been an emotion that is being transformed, that is being transferred from past lives also. For example, fear of snakes, fear of water is not something that you acquire in this life. Like according to psychologists also, they say that as a collective unconscious, that's something that you by birth itself we have some of these fears. So it can be that deep rooted from past lives also. So even our cells, cellular level also, cells also tremble with fear. So mother, how in agenda, in her mother's agenda, how she talks about how the work that she's doing is infusing light in each of the cell that is there in her body, because that level of transformation can only take away the darkness and fill the complete being with light. So the fear can be that deep rooted, and instead of giving into that fear, just calling in light and forcing, literally like putting the light in each of the cells is something that we constantly need to do, right? And with respect to anger, what mother says is, first when you are angry, become aware. Okay, I am getting angry, write it down. So this is what is creating the anger. Mother says, as you write, you are first sitting down quietly and writing what you are feeling, and as you finish writing, apparently half of it, that emotion is lost, that intensity that you have, because you are sitting and you are quietly invoking her, you are telling her this is what is creating that anger. And by the end of how you finish writing, you should be able to feel calmer, you should be able to feel the release of that anger from within. So you all can try, like when you feel angry, instead of reacting, responding, just going to your room, just sitting quietly and writing what is creating that anger, you're releasing it into this world and getting it out of your system. So that is again something that which comes with discipline. You can't, first you should become aware that this is, and instead of reacting immediately, you should first feel that okay, this anger is there inside me, I need to let go of it. So it comes with that kind of an absolute discipline. Then we also need discipline as a part of developing the faculty of imagination. So as a part of the sadhana, a lot of times, as we sit for meditation or as we are, in going inside, you may project yourself or your desires outside, and you may imagine as if you're traveling, and some things, as if you're projecting your own qualities outside, or sometimes even what mother says, some of the techniques where you have to imagine yourself. For example, in the last talk we discussed detachment. You have to imagine yourself just detaching from what you want to develop, right? So for all that, we need to, the more we practice, the more we use discipline, then that is going to help us to actually learn that skill and automatically get into that kind of a practice. So that is, it's useful for that. And the work that we do requires discipline. So any work, it can just be organizing a small part of your cupboard, taking the clothes, folding and putting it, that's a discipline. So what kind of discipline, how well are you actually doing that work, is because of the discipline. So are you disciplined enough to do that folding of the clothes well or not? So the more you are doing, the more you are able to concentrate, the more you are able to be there as you are doing, the more you are able to perfect at it. So any work, if it's not done with discipline, it's going to be confusing, it's going to also be a failure. So it's important to have a good discipline in any work that we do if we want to do it properly. Another aspect is a better way to do it even better is what mother says, to not do as somebody who is doing. Like, I am folding the clothes. Instead of thinking like that, becoming the work that you are doing, identifying with the work that you are doing can help you to do that work better. And that again is something that requires a lot of discipline. Right? So instead of remaining someone who works, as you become the work, identifying the work is something that requires a great discipline, can be helpful a lot. So yeah, so and also mother says, like, a lot of times, we break things, we are irresponsible, we forget. That is because we lack discipline in maintaining those things. So the more you are able to be present and the more you are able to identify with the work that you are doing, the better you can do it, and perfection can be achieved as a result. Now the next thing, how do we cultivate discipline? So what are some of the ways? First, it is something that we need to understand, it doesn't come overnight. Like, we need practice. For us to develop this discipline, we need to first accept that we need to do this for more times for us to get this discipline. And we need to have some qualities, that is sincerity, humility, extremely important. Mother says, for you to develop an outer discipline, first humility is completely important, because when you start doing something and you're doing better, automatically you feel, oh my god, wow, I am doing this so well. You start to become very egoistic. So humility is, I don't know anything, you are making me do it. So the more we are able to surrender to her, the more we are growing also, and the more the work or whatever we are doing is improving. So humility, sincerity, and being courageous, because even if something is not going right, continuing to do it requires a lot of courage, endurance, perseverance. These are some qualities that we need if we have to discipline our life. And mother says to start practicing discipline. It's not like, okay, I'll change my life, I will start developing these so many things, and you don't do anything of it. Instead of that, choose one activity. Start with one activity that you want to start, as a discipline that you want to inculcate, and persist. Continue to do that till it has become a part of your life. So, initially when I was introduced to Mother and Sri Aurobindo, Savitri was one thing, that whatever happens every day, I will read 2 pages before I go to bed. So that was one discipline. At least for 7-8 years, I was continuously doing this. I did not, though I understood or did not understand. So that is one discipline. I would just do it as an offering, as that is my part of a spiritual discipline. So that is something we all can start. Any one activity, nothing major, but we can decide what is it that we can do. And so another thing that mother talks about as we are developing this discipline, these habits that we have must be controlled. And a lot of times, even if you are missing out to do something on a particular day, instead of thinking, okay, I cannot do it, and getting out of that habit, feeling again disappointed, depression, all of that, instead of that, if again you are like, okay, that is over, past is past, again don't repent about the past, but again currently you are in that moment, start again, continue to do again. So instead of pondering over what is lost, you have to get back yourself to the present and take up the discipline and continue it persistently. So that order, method and process requires flexibility, and it will enable us to even develop the receptivity that is there towards the divine. So discipline, as we are engaging in the discipline, we are also focusing on transforming our character. So as we are because we have discussed that reject the lower vital, we are trying to transform the lower vital into higher vital. So as we are doing this, we are also changing our character. We are also being perseverant in making this transformation that requires a lot of patience, lot of sincerity, and the vital, as you are working with the vital transformation particularly, it is it's difficult. And because what happens is, as you are working with the vital transformation, so many times you experience these ups and downs. Like suddenly, whatever a lot of people as they in their tapas, they do so well, and suddenly one bad thing happens and completely all their progress is lost because of one vital blow that has occurred. So that's the reason why vital can really make you go very deeper also, and it can make you get extremely disgusted, discouraged, dissatisfied. All of those also can be happen, and the progress is lost. Again you have to start. So with vital you have to extremely be very patient, as you are with a rebellious child, mother says. Even how many ever discouragements, disappointments happen, you have to be very patient, offer, and be calm, so that you're not going with these ups and downs, but you are perseverantly going towards your goal of transformation. So that now we will discuss some of the difficulties that can happen at the physical level. Sri Aurobindo particularly says, gaining control over the body is one of the most important aspects of the yoga, because so many rishis, maharshis, though they were able to work on their mental transformation, physically they did have a lot of problem. So that's the reason why our body should never be looked at as an enemy. It's not like so many people don't work on their physical, just continue to only work on the mental or the vital, but the body also has to be transformed. And because though it is one of the difficult ones, without transforming body, our yoga is not going to be complete. Then at the vital level, like we discussed, so many problems can be there, and that also need to be transformed. And at the mental level also, our mind is always filled with contradictions. So mother says, as you are able to develop mental discipline, a lot of people who have achieved this are able to be very, very calm, even if they are having so many contradictions in their mind. Right? So even if their mind is having so many contrary ideas, they are able to stay very calm and not being troubled by it. So I can give you an example here. When I was I was deciding whether I should go to a party or not, whether I should attend a party or go to bed in time. So that was the confusion that I was having. So many thoughts I was getting. Should I do this? What will my friend think? If I don't go, what will happen? All of those I was thinking about a lot. Then what I did, first I tried to calm these thoughts. First I did a little breathing, and I tried to concentrate. I tried to aspire for mother's pose. And then I waited for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so that I am a little calmer. Then I told mother, you tell me now what to do. If you want me to go, I'll go. You don't want me to go, I will not go. I don't have any preference. You have to guide me. So that is what I told her. And then after 5 minutes, very, very clearly I could get almost an answer that you don't have to go. And immediately I decided I'm not going, and I felt so much peace. Like suddenly there is a clear answer. So much contradiction was there before 15 minutes back, and now I'm very clear I don't want to go, and I'm very happy with this decision. Mother has guided me, and it is the best for me. So it was very nice. Like just I think Lord, whenever we are stressed like this, disturbed, if this we are able to do. But when I was asking, constantly, as I was disturbed, I was not getting an answer. Only when I was first calm myself, and I was like, I am not, thinking whether I should go or not go. I am just not thinking about this, and I'm calling in her force. So that is what I was doing constantly. And in the end, there was an answer, and I was extremely happy with it. So yeah, so this we have come to the end of the talk. So another important aspect of cultivating discipline is some of the pointers Mother talks about. How there are some things we can choose to do and choose not to do. So for example, as we are developing yogic discipline, that is following or doing anything that is bringing us closer to the divine. So reading something that can help you in this path, instead of reading some fiction novel, some horror stories, we can tell ourselves, that is not important. I will focus on what can help me in my journey. I will utilize my time here. So that is the discipline that we can start to follow. If you act in conformity with what can lead you to the divine realization. So according to what is helpful for this realization, rejecting any desire, anything that is not helping. If you calm your mental being, appease your vital being, if you shut yourself against any suggestions, don't listen to anybody that is telling you from outside. Only try to focus on what is coming from within. It no longer depends at all on circumstances or on whom you live with or on the conditions you live in, because you are enclosed in your own spiritual atmosphere. So as you keep doing this, as you are listening to your inner guide, not thinking about what others are doing, all of that, the more you are developing a spiritual atmosphere around yourself, the more you are able to live in that kind of an inner, sincere, deeper, intense inner life. So that is the discipline that we can work towards, and not reading newspapers, having a fixed diet, keeping only a few things, not buying too many things. All of these are some of the practices that we can actually indulge in to have a more disciplined life. Right. So let us concentrate for a few minutes. So maybe with this we can start mental discipline. Try to reject everything and focus. We'll be playing Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri, and we will try to concentrate. Thank you.